latest Pro Football Focus top 25 player ratings, and 5 Cougars listed on those, by the way. I think Ryan Rico would have been listed a punter had they done punters. He would have been top 5. But I digress. Not to mention NFL draft projections with Jaron Hall and Blake Freeland as high as first round, not to mention others, and a host of returners. We are compelled to discuss the following today, Jason. Should this BYU offense be elite?
Yes, and it's not just because of one publication's, idea of what they think BYU should be graded at. It's not just what Pro Football Focus has today in ranking 5 players, in their top 25 at their positions. It is a combination of a lot of things. As you mentioned, it's draft projections on where some of these guys are expected to be, not just high draft picks, first-round draft picks, and there could be multiple first-round draft picks in the upcoming NFL draft for BYU football. It's also having an understanding of not just the production that comes back, but when you're talking about the talent combined with the production and what we've seen out of this offensive scheme, and I've been hounding this for the last year or so. What we've seen now under Aaron Roderick as the offensive coordinator, the system is in place. You're not trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work, and maybe let's try this. Now, there's things within a game or within a season that you add to the mix. But the scheme for what Aaron Roderick wants this offense to look like is in place. It's been in place for more than a season. You've now had success in multiple seasons. So the fact that you have a system that is proven to be successful, that you have talent and production that can come back and run said system, yes, everything points to this offense being elite this year.
You will not find bigger fans of Aaron Roderick than the 2 people on this desk right now. The last 2 years since A-Rod was the public offensive coordinator.
Correct.
He was the not public primary play caller from Boise State on, with the exception, I believe, of San Diego State and Hawaii. Those were given back for those 2 games. BYU's 21-4. How does that sound? That sounds nice, right? Top 25 finishes in back-to-back years. Incredible, right? Second pick in the draft, Zach Wilson, Brady Christensen, this offense, Jaron Hall, and so forth. We know what's going on. I think BYU's got a great shot at being elite this year offensively. How would I quantify that? I don't know. Top 10 in a lot of things that matter. Let's look at some next-level stuff. A lot of people will give you points per game, yards per game. That doesn't take into account tempo or more advanced metrics. Let's look at a couple of numbers that really stick out from last year, in my opinion, that tell you kind of what BYU could be again. So pressure rate allowed. How good's the O-line? 4th in the country, 18% in pressure rate allowed. Amazing. Explosive play rate. Are you getting down the field? 7th in the country, 15% of the time. Yards per play, one of the simplest metrics, but one that's important. 8th in the country, 6.8 yards above. It helped that Tyler Algier was the running back, okay? Let's not, dismiss that. Yards per pass attempt tell you how explosive you're going to be. 8.8, fantastic. You want to be north of 8 in that. If you're in the high 8s, you're in business. Third down conversions. Are you moving the sticks? 18th. Projected 13th in SP+. These tell us what BYU could be again, because you lose Tyler Algier, you lose Samson Nakua, but that's about it, dog. You bring a lot of people back, which is very exciting. It starts with the O-line. You got to have a great quarterback. BYU's got both of those. Like, great quarterback and great O-line, which is so exciting. Also, EPA, expected points added, in both pass and run plays last year. 8th. BYU is great in these, and they could be again. Obviously, a tough schedule. If BYU's in the top 20, I'm super happy, obviously, because of sort of how much weight you're putting on that bar with this schedule. But BYU's got a legit chance to be one of the best offenses it has had in a long time. All they have to do is keep doing what they've been doing the last 2 years.
Yep. Well, and look, and I'm not naive enough to think that, obviously, BYU's playing some really, really good teams. Yep. And you mentioned the schedule and all of the opponents that are on it. This is a formidable schedule that BYU's playing, to say the very least. I think ultimately, though, what will determine whether or not this team reaches elite status offensively is something that, unfortunately, you just can't predict, and that's injuries. And hopefully that is not something that comes up this year.
Yeah.
It's something that teams have to deal with. You never know when it's going to pop up. And when it happens, you just do the best that you can to move on. But if this team can stay healthy or relatively healthy at the key positions on offense, then BYU absolutely has a chance to put up some big numbers on the offensive side of the football.
Christopher Brooks is a massive variable in this conversation. We're expecting him to be a very good player. Pro Football Focus putting him in the top 25 at number 23 among running backs in the country. We're assuming he's going to be really good.
Yes.
If he is, we're in business. If he's not, there's trouble. But the O-line's so good and Jaron Hall's so good that I think the pressure's not on him to be great per se. Although if he's great, now we're talking, right? And to have 5 guys in the top 25 is awesome. Now, it's been rare to go into a season like this, Shep, with a quarterback and an offensive lineman that are as highly touted as Jaron Hall and Blake Freeland are. In fact, I think if BYU has a good season, not even great, both these guys are getting drafted next year.
I agree with
that. Not
that.
to mention Clark Barrington, which brings us to our stat of the day.
It's the BYU Sports Nation stat of the day.
In the modern draft era, that is the 7-round era, not the 20 or 11 or whatever. You always had a quarterback and an offensive tackle specifically taken in the same draft just twice. You go back to 95, Eli Herring, not going to play on Sunday, and John Walsh, and then Zach Wilson and Brady Christensen from 21. It is rare to have what we have going into this season. Think about it, especially that left tackle, of course. The blind side made famous this position. And so did Independent Study with BYU in that story in the blind side. Is here we are with Blake Freeland and Jaron Hall, and that equals something very special going into this year.
Well, and the fact that it goes to what we were speaking of over the last couple of years with this scheme under Roderick, if it happens this year, then you're talking about 2 out of the 3 years under this scheme where that is the end goal, or excuse me, the end result.
Yeah.
And it sort of reemphasizes what we've said, that the talent is coming into the program and the scheme is fitting the talent is fitting the scheme, and it's working.
If Jaron Hall is going to be a first-round pick, he's got to be healthy this year.
Yep.
Like, he's got to start every game, probably. Because you don't want to go into that year going, well, okay, we've seen some real injuries. That's something that is somewhat, like, injuries are not a thing you can completely control, obviously. Hopefully Jaron's healthy this year. Jacob Conover's got to be ready. Cade Finnegan is going to press Jacob Conover for that backup spot as well. That's a storyline to watch here in fall camp, which begins on Thursday. I'm super excited about it because obviously Jaron Hall took care of the ball so well last year. The most underrated piece of last year was Jaron Hall's ability to not turn it over and to complete the ball down the field. Like, he took care of the rock, man. And now we have this awesome offensive line, great receivers with Puka Nacua and Gunnar Romney leading the way. Hopefully Puka has a great year. He's probably gone after this year as well as a 4th-year guy. Let's go, man. Let's go. This offense is perhaps the most exciting offense going into a season we've seen in all of Independence. Maybe you have to go back to 2009 to feel this excited. Maybe 2014, you're walking in with Taysom Hill and Jamal Williams and that crew. And that was an exciting season as well. But